As of May 12th, 2024, Mother's Day of all days, Citi quietly rebranded and updated their very popular Citi Premier card to the Citi Strata Premier card. Fortunately for us, they only really made positive changes to this card, other than the design of it, at least to a lot of folks, including adding some travel protections to it, which has been a big complaint of Citi's cards in recent past. And while all of this sounds great, and it's a card that I would really like to get my hands on, Citi is very infamous for being one of the lenders whose cards are very hard to get approved for, particularly if you're somebody like me who has a lot of new card accounts open recently, as well as have a lot of recent hard inquiries. Until now, I've been on a 13 card streak of getting automatically approved for every card I apply for, so why would I risk this card breaking that streak? Well, don't worry, I'm going to be covering that question and a lot more in this video, broken down into the following 4 parts. Part 1 will be a brief review of the new Citi Strata Premier card, and hopefully by the end of that you can tell whether or not this card is worth it for you. Part 2 is going to explain why I'm personally applying for this card despite having a low likelihood of getting approved for it. Part 3 is going to be all about my data points before applying, so you can see how you stack up to me and could maybe get approved or denied yourself. And then part 4 is going to be the live application for this card with tips and tricks as to how you can get approved even if I don't. Last note before we dive in, if I do get denied, which again is a pretty high likelihood, I will be doing everything I can to flip that decision to an approval by calling Citi's reconsideration line and doing all of that in this video. So definitely stay tuned all the way through for that. Now, as for a brief review of this credit card, the first thing I want to mention is the annual fee on it, which is $95. The exact same as the Citi Premier card before it was rebranded. They kept the annual fee, which is something we don't actually see that often these days. As for the welcome offer, right now they have a limited time offer going around for 75,000 points after spending $4,000 in the first 3 months of having it. The base for this card has been 60,000 points for the same amount of spend in the past, so a limited time offer. Yeah, you can sign me up for that. It's funny though, we do see Chase and them constantly kind of competing with their especially $95 annual fee cards, that being the Chase Sapphire Preferred with Chase and the Citi Strata Premier now with Citi. And as a lot of y'all probably know, and if you haven't, I made a video about this, the Chase Sapphire cards right now have a limited time 75,000 point offer for the exact same amount of spend as this card as well. And for whatever reason, that's down 5,000 points from their normal elevated welcome offer. But it seems like Citi took note of that and just matched it at a slightly lower offer. As for earning categories, this card's going to give you 10x back on hotel, car rentals, and attractions booked through cititravel.com. This did used to be a part of the welcome offer up until they rebranded the card, and now it's become a more permanent category, which I guess is pretty cool. I probably won't be getting a ton of use out of that, but maybe to activate the credit that we'll talk about later, so you at least have it for that. What this card is mainly known for though is its 3x categories, which cover air travel, other hotel purchases, restaurants, supermarkets, gas stations, and EV charging stations. The EV charging stations category actually is new with the rebrand as well, and it helps it compete more with the Wells Fargo Autograph card, for example, to secure it, in my opinion, as the most well-rounded earning beginner travel credit card, specifically at that $95 annual fee level, but maybe you have a different opinion. And then after all those earning categories, it also will just give you 1x back on everything else, which is par for the course. I did mention a credit earlier, and the only credit on this credit card in particular is one where you'll get $100 off of a single hotel stay of $500 or more, excluding taxes and fees, when booked through cititravel.com. So once again, this is very similar to the hotel credit that the Chase Sapphire Preferred gives you, but I'd argue the Chase Sapphire Preferred credit is a lot easier to use because you don't have to spend $500 in order to activate it. However, technically the effective annual fee on this card is -$5 if you do use that credit. Whether or not you would have purchased any travel through Citi beforehand though is another question, and that's why I probably won't be counting this in lowering my effective annual fee unless one of my trips actually lines up to where that makes a lot of sense. Now, the credit is okay, but again, not exactly a reason to get this credit card, I'd say. However, a really easy way to justify the annual fee on this card, which is exactly the same situation as the Chase Sapphire Preferred once again, is the fact that it gives you access to Citi's transfer partners. As we'll talk about more in part 2, this is one of the main reasons I've been wanting this card for so long, and why I'll be comfortable to pay that $95 annual fee every year, even if I want to keep access to those partners. The last thing I want to mention in the review of this card is that Citi did add travel protections to it. However, at this time, we don't exactly know what those protections are going to be, since this card is so new, at least the rebranded version of it, and they haven't exactly listed the terms on their website yet, but I will show you what the terms do say at the moment. On their main homepage, it does say that you can help stay protected with travel insurances, including trip delay protection, common carrier trip cancellation and interruption protection, lost or damaged luggage, and master rental coverage, which is car rental insurance. Whenever we read into the terms further though, it says, should you apply and be approved for the Citi Strata Premier card, more information will be provided in the Guide to Protection benefits you receive with your card. Benefits are subject to terms, conditions, and limitations, including limitations on the amount of coverage. Coverage is provided by New Hampshire Insurance Company, an AIG company. Policy provides secondary coverage only unless otherwise stated. So we have a little bit of an idea as to what's to come on this card, but again, not exactly sure. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of data points about this come out when people do receive their new cards in the mail. And if I do get approved, I hope that in my unboxing, I can at least shine a little bit more light on this. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is technically a big benefit of the rebrand of this card since Citi did remove protections, well, travel protections from all of their cards a while back. And it also gives us hope that for the other Citi cards that they've been rumored to release, like a luxury card, for example, those too will have some travel protections on them. But again, we're gonna have to wait and see. Either way though, for me, the lack of travel protections wasn't an issue, and this is not a big plus because whenever I go to book travel, I'm always putting any taxes and fees on my highest tier travel credit card, which for me is the Chase Sapphire Reserve, because I know it has better travel protections than this card would, for example. So take that for what it's worth too. Now, assuming that I do get approved for this card, as with every one of my new credit cards, I need a way to better track my welcome offer spend, which is where the sponsor of today's video comes into play, that being Max Rewards. Max Rewards is an all-in-one credit card management app that allows you to see things like your total point balances, card balances, bill due dates, and more, even if your cards come from a multitude of lenders, all in one app. And as I just mentioned, one of my favorite features about the free version of Max Rewards is that they do allow you to add welcome bonus trackers to all of your new cards, even when the lenders don't give you a welcome bonus tracker in their apps, which seems to be the case for a lot of lenders these days. This tool really helps me to plan out my spend accordingly and make sure that I'm going to hit the welcome offers on time, because if not, then you're kind of wasting a credit card application, in my opinion, since welcome offers are where we get the bulk of our value from our credit cards over their lifetime, especially if you're adding a lot of credit cards to your setup like I do. Now, while Max Rewards does offer a lot of free features, I do personally pay for Max Rewards Gold because it not only automatically activates my quarterly rotating categories for me on my cards like my Chase Freedom Flex, but it also will automatically activate your credit card offers for you, which just helps you save money in the background. So if you're somebody that even just wants to try out the free features of Max Rewards, please be sure to download it through the link in my description. And during the sign up process, if you enter the promo code Spencer, you'll get a 1-month discount off of your Max Rewards Gold subscription if you do decide to upgrade to that annual plan. Thank you to Max Rewards for sponsoring this video as always, but let's get into part 2. Now, one of the biggest questions you probably have in watching this video is, why am I applying for this credit card? The number one reason is because I do need access to Citi's transfer partners. For those of y'all that have kept up with the channel for a while, you'll know that in April of 2022, I applied for the Citi Custom Cash, and since I applied for that card, I have not used any of my Citi points because I don't have a way to use them for travel. So here we are today with an opportunity to possibly add this card with the new changes they made to it, and with those new changes, I'm hoping they'll be more lenient on the approval process for this card. So I figured, why not take a shot at it? In my most recent roadmap video, I did mention that I wouldn't be adding the Citi Premier card until I think December of 2024. And that was because I was planning on holding off on any personal card applications for 6 to 12 months before applying for this card. But that was before they rebranded it and added this elevated welcome offer to it. So even though the last personal credit card that I was approved for came just 4 months ago, I'm still gonna go for it here today. As I've said multiple times now, I really do have a pretty high likelihood of getting denied for this card, but I would really like to complete my Citi setup, at least the cards that I want right now, and move on to other lenders, hence why I'm okay with ending my 13 card approval streak right now. And let's be honest, at some point that's gonna end anyways, so why not let it be today? The second main reason that I'm applying for this card is because it has the elevated welcome offer on it. I've always only ever planned on adding this card if it did have an elevated welcome offer on it, and of course if I was in that range of 6 to 12 months without any personal cards being added. And even though, like I just mentioned, I did plan on adding this at the end of 2024, there's no guarantee that at that point it's going to have an elevated welcome offer on it, but it does right now, so why should I let that pass me up? And if I do get denied and the reconsideration line doesn't help out, which seems to be the case for everybody that calls a reconsideration line, I could always just try to reapply for it later this year, and hopefully it would have an elevated welcome offer then. I want to note though that while this card does have some great earning categories on it, it's probably going to be one that I literally never use, of course outside of the welcome offer spend, and that's because I have so many other credit cards that are high earners in the categories this card covers at this point. Looking back at those 3X categories, I have all of those covered at the same or higher rates with the following cards. For the air travel and hotel purchases, I use my Chase Sapphire Reserve for 3X back on those, and again, it has better travel protections, hence why I use this card instead. For restaurants and supermarkets, I have my Amex Gold card or my Bilt MasterCard, depending on what I'm using at the time, but mostly the Amex Gold card giving me 4X back. And then for gas stations and EV charging stations, at this point, I'm using my new Amex Business Gold card for that to also give me 4X back. But then honestly, if I do get approved for the Citi Premier card or the Citi Strata Premier, I'll probably swap back in my Citi Custom Cash as my gas card to lock in 5X back on those purchases, but we'll see about that. So I guess I say all of this just to point out the fact that while this card might be a really high earner for you, it's probably going to be more of a sock drawer card for me, and one that I just use as a pass-through entity for all of my Citi points to get them out to their travel partners. And by the way, I do think that this is perfectly fine to do if you're in a similar situation to me, because if you're somebody, particularly particularly with lower spend like myself, it is so important to focus on getting new welcome offers for all of your spend. Yes, that's important in any regard, but if you're somebody with a lot higher spend, you may care more about those earning categories that each card gives you rather than just the return that the welcome offers do, because you might get to the point where you've added so many credit cards that there are just less welcome offers to go for. But the reason it's so important for the low spenders is because 1 to 5% back on, say, $30,000 of spend worth a year is only $300 to $1,500 back a year, which maybe could cover like a trip. But if you got 15 to 30% return on spend on all of those purchases by applying for welcome offers to get that kind of return on spend, that could give you $4,500 to $9,000 worth of free travel, which could actually fund a lot of your trips in a way that just spending on your normal earning category cards would not. In this section too, I want to quickly mention how this card is going to affect my credit card roadmap. I know I've touched on it already, but I wanted to dedicate a quick section to it. As y'all may have known, originally, right now, I had the World of Hyatt personal and business credit cards on my roadmap as cards I would add when I drop back under 524, which happened at the beginning of May. But I just can't bring myself right now to take a hard pull for either of those cards. Particularly the personal card is the one that I want, and without a high elevated welcome offer on it, it's just not going to move the needle for me, and I don't really want to add it right now. And the reason I say that is because not only would the personal card add a hard inquiry to my report, it would also add a new personal card to my report and increase my 524 count. So even though it has that category 1 to 4 free night on it, I have chase points in my arsenal that I can use for Hyatt stays, and that just, again, would not really change much for me to have that free night. So while it would be nice, it's not mandatory. And also, the most important fact there is that if I did add another personal card right now, that would push me even further back in getting the Citi Premier card, since I would want to wait that 6 to 12 months. So I'd rather not hold off on other credit card applications for that long. I do want to note that luckily I do drop back under 524 in July, so I can add those Hyatt cards after this one if I do get approved for the Citi Premier. So honestly, this could really help my roadmap move a lot quicker if I was to get approved, which again is very low likelihood. Lastly, before we get into my data points, I want to mention that the main reason I'm okay with applying for this card with the assumption that I will get denied and take a hard inquiry for basically nothing to show is because I'm not currently looking at applying for any loans or anything like that where my credit score seriously matters right now, basically meaning that I can weather any kind of small dip to my credit score in the short term. Now let's dive into part 3, my data points. My last personal card I applied for was the Built MasterCard on January 17th of 2024. So again, roughly 4 months ago. My last business credit card was the Amex Business Gold on March 29th of 2024. That was an Amex credit card, so I didn't get a hard pull for it because I'm an existing Amex customer, and it's a business credit card, so it didn't add to my 524 count or even show up on my personal credit report at all. So really the only card that's impacting me seriously at this point would be that Built MasterCard. As for my 524 status, for those of y'all that don't know, first of all, the Chase 524 rule states that if you've been approved for 5 or more personal credit cards in the past 24 months, Chase will automatically deny you for your next card application with them. The reason it's important to me is because I want to continue to add the Chase Inc. card welcome offers right now, so staying close to under 524 makes a lot of sense. As I just mentioned though, I'm currently sitting at 424 as of the beginning of May. This would push me back up to 524 again, but I would drop back under once more in July, so I'm really not worried about missing out on any Chase cards in the next couple of months. As for my credit scores and hard inquiry counts, with TransUnion I have a 769 credit score with 3 hard inquiries. With Equifax I have a 773 credit score with 1 hard inquiry, and with Experian I'm sitting at a 736 with 3 hard inquiries. And the main reason for this bigger drop in my Experian score is because I've had a higher utilization on my cards over the past month or so. With credit utilization making up 30% of your credit score, any increase to that overall utilization is going to impact you pretty drastically. But luckily, credit utilization is one of those factors that has a short-term memory, meaning that as long as I pay down my balances a little bit early next month, my score should rise back up to a more respectable level, I guess. If you are in a situation where every single point matters to you, which I don't feel like I am at the moment, I would recommend paying off your statement balances early, bringing that utilization down to say 1 to 2% on all of your cards, and that would give you the highest boost to your credit score you can really have in the short term. Last note before we get into the live application, I do always have all of my credit bureaus frozen, or credit reports frozen with all 3 of the credit bureaus, and I unfreeze them all whenever I go to apply for a card. But for this one in particular, I'm going to try a different strategy of only thawing out or unfreezing my one main credit report that has the best odds of me getting approved, and that is going to be my Equifax score in this case. I've also read that in Texas, Citi does like to pull Equifax, so hopefully this doesn't cause me to get auto denied, but I would not be surprised if their systems automatically flag my application and I have to call them in to finish the application, and that would just be a real big headache, so I'm praying that does not happen. But moral of the story here, I'm going to only thaw out my Equifax credit report since I only have 1 hard inquiry on it and I have the highest credit score with them right now technically. So we're going to see how that goes here together. Just to show y'all real quick how I do this, I just came to my Equifax account here. You can see my credit score and everything like I mentioned earlier. And then you can see that my report is frozen here on the right. I'm gonna just go ahead and click on manage a freeze. Manage a freeze once again, temporarily lift a security freeze. I'm going to lift it today and I'm gonna end it just in a week from now in case for whatever reason they need that. You could also just permanently lift it and then go permanently freeze it again, but this will work just as well. And then I'm going to confirm this lift. And there we go. It should be temporarily lifted right now so I can go into the application itself and complete it. All right, so here we are on the application. I'm gonna try to zoom through this section a little bit while giving you all the tips and tricks that you need, because I know this video is already really long, but hey, I've been doing longer videos lately and that's just what I like to watch. So hopefully y'all enjoy it too. The first thing I wanna check here is one, that it is the Citi Strata Premier. You can see the new design that I said people don't really like. Also make sure that it has the right welcome offer here up top, which it does. So all I'm gonna do now is click apply now. I'm gonna go ahead and walk y'all through the application before I sign in, because I'd rather just sign in and hopefully have the process go a little bit more quickly. But once again, first thing you should check when you enter a credit card application is going to be the welcome offer here on the left. Again, we are sitting at the right one of 75,000 points, so we're good there. Then you're gonna go ahead and fill in your personal information here. Hopefully don't need to give you any guidance on this section, as well as your address, phone, and email. That should be pretty straightforward as well. Once you enter your mobile number as well as your email address, you'll finally come down to your financial information, which is the more important part and parts that people have the most confusion about. For one, if you have non-taxable income, you'll enter that here. Most of us do not, so I wouldn't really worry about that unless you know you have non-taxable income. The total annual income is a section where you're going to want to give the highest number you can reasonably, and it's going to be an estimation of this, 12 months to come. So the reason that's important is because for me, working on my own business full time, theoretically, I should be making more money this year than I did last year, but I don't exactly know what I'm going to be making, so I'm going to have to project here a little bit. Clicking into this question mark here, we do see that they have some examples here as to what you can include here. The main thing to remember is that you can include any kind of income that you make. It's also gross annual income, so you do not need to take out taxes when you put in this number. Once again, just showing you that the higher number, really the better for these applications, because of course, if you have no income, then they have no reason to extend you a line of credit. As for the monthly mortgage or rent payment, they ask you for this to calculate your debt to income ratio. Theoretically, once again, a low debt to income ratio is good, meaning that you have a high income with a low amount of debt. But of course, all of us, for the most part, have to pay some kind of rent or mortgage payment. So you're just going to put in exactly what that is here, and clicking in the question mark again, pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, just put in what you actually pay for your housing expenses. You can also add an authorized user to this application if you want to. I won't be doing that. But you can. You will also need to take the chance to create a security word, which is going to be what you're asked to provide whenever they call you or you ask them for help and they need to access your account online. So obviously put whatever makes the most sense for you here, but nothing too crazy. You can read through these Citi disclosures here. You should not be shocked by any of this information. We know what the annual fee is. We know that it has no foreign transaction fees. We don't usually care about the annual percentage rate because, as always with any credit card information that you're reading or watching online, you should understand that you're going to approach the credit card game under the assumption that you will never pay any credit card interest to a bank, because you're going to be paying off your balances on time and in full every month. If you do that, you're in the clear. Hence why I never talk about APRs, because they should not matter. If you're stuck in credit card debt, don't play the credit card game like I do and just keep it at that. Then all you have to do is check these boxes and then agree and submit the application. So let me sign in and try to get this application to go a little bit quicker for me, and I'll be right back. All right, well, I already filled that out. Signing in just filled in like my email and that kind of information, but I still had to enter my total annual income and all of that. But now my heart's beating pretty quick here because I assume I am going to get denied for this card, and I'd really rather not. But of course, we'll go through recon if we need to. So with all this being said, let's go ahead and click agree and submit here in 3, 2, 1, submit. Oh God. Well, here's an interesting thing that just popped up. They said that they can't access my credit report and they can't process my application because I need to unlock my TransUnion report. So I was under the assumption that it would either be my Equifax or my Experian reports that they wanted, but they actually want my TransUnion. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is go unlock that credit report and then click this I have unlocked my TransUnion bureau. Please proceed processing my application. I have 15 minutes to do so, so let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I logged into my TransUnion profile. I'm going to do another temporary lift for the next week on my credit report. Go ahead and confirm this and then get back to that application. Okay, perfect. So we are all set there. Also, I didn't mention this earlier, but if you're somebody that wants to either freeze or unfreeze your credit reports, you will have to create an account with each of the credit bureaus, the main three being Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And then you have to log into that account separately and do the freeze or thaw for each. Okay, so now I can click I have unlocked my TransUnion bureau. Please proceed processing my application. I hope this did not actually make me have a even lower chance of getting approved, but I don't know. Guess we're about to find out. Now I'm going to go ahead and click submit again here in 3, 2, 1 submit, and get to be nervous all over again. So fun. Oh, that's a breath of fresh air. I just got approved for the Citi Strata Premier card, which is kind of crazy. I honestly did not think that this is going to happen. I didn't have to go through the recon line or anything. Honestly, insane to me. I'm stoked to get this video out to y'all now because honestly, I hope that y'all can learn a little bit from this video and just see that I'm not even somebody that technically was poised to get approved for this card. But here we are. I got approved with an $8,000 credit limit. Nothing insane, but I'll definitely take that. And it says that I will be getting my card in 7 to 10 business days in a white envelope. As for hitting the welcome offer, not super worried about it. $4,000 in 3 months is very achievable for me. So needless to say, I am stoked. One other thing I want to mention here, they do show my credit report here showing that my TransUnion was a 759 with the reports that they pulled. And of course they pulled it from TransUnion like I just mentioned. So a little bit lower than Credit Karma shows me, which is to be expected. Credit Karma always kind of over exaggerates a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and click see my card summary. And it brought me straight to my Citi account where my Strata Premier card is just sitting here nice and pretty. If you want to see me apply for some of the other most popular credit cards on the entire credit card market after watching this video, go ahead and click into this playlist next. And as always, Odin and I both want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time.